Hey, what's happening? Moji Stone here. Beautiful Saturday. You know, I've been promised y'all that I would share some of my real life stories with you. Well, today I got a deep one. Pay real close attention. It's a real life story that involves homosexuality, predators, money, America, UK. This is crazy. Tune in. This story, a real life one, is all that glitters is not gold. Yes. Once upon a time, I had a friend by the name of Frank. Now, see, back in the day, the hustle for a lot of these young, good-looking brothers from the hood was to head on out to the beach on any given weekend. They were like beach bums. And what they would do was get with these white girls who flew over to Africa for some dick. Yep, to put it blunt. All types of air hostesses, black young man with 3 legs. And Frank, yep. And that was wild back then. The white girls would come up, and these brothers would be out there with no shirts, flexing it. Yep, you could call them male hoes, but that was their hustle. And basically, Frank was no different. Frank was a part of that setup too. So, he would go over to the beach, talk to these white girls, and that's how Frank got his hustle on. Some of these girls would fall in love with his Dilsnick, and they would travel and send him money, clothes, all types of shit. The visa love. All Frank ever wanted to do was to get out of Ghana. He always would say, Charlie, man for fly, you, man for fly. And so on this particular Sunday, no different from any other Sunday, I head on out to the beach to go chillax. And there I bump into my friend Frank. Frank is real happy to see me. Frank gonna say, Charlie, I guess on link, Charlie be like, man go cut out soon. Man go fly. I'm like, whoa, that's good for you. Cool. So more. And on this particular day, Frank is in a real good mood. Fred got all the girls around his table. We used to call it the spread. He was spreading. Buying all the drinks, all the kebabs, and having a great time. So I joined in. I said to Frank, man, you came into some money, huh? Charlie, I go show you that move. So, we out there having a ball, music blaring, the booze flowing, the kebabs, yep, the spread. I'm waiting on Frank to give me the scoop on how he getting that money. That's my man. I got to get the skinny on this, yeah. Frank say, make you no worry, I will blow you everything. Anyway, nothing strange. I figured he had hooked up with a girl. At this point, the drinks had kicked in. Frank is tipsy. I'm drunk. We wilding out. When Frank say, Charlie, look, you see that, you see over there. You see that man where they come. That be the man who, he being with the move, I tell you. So I look around and I see this white middle-aged dude walking towards us. Mr. White Man is stood right in front of me and Frank. Frank got a big old grin on his face, obviously drunk, and says, Papa Jerry, meet Mr. Blah, blah, blah. I ain't gonna say his name. So I said, cool. What's up? And I stepped off. So the next day, I would go over to Frank's spot in the hood, Labadi. Obviously, dude had a hangover from the night before. Well, I can't visit your ass because I know you had money, and that's what we did back in the day. If your man hit a big, everybody was a regular visitor. No different. Dude wake up, he say, yo, Papa Jerry, make your list. Frank is up, eyes bloodshot, telling me about how his ticket out of Ghana had finally arrived via this white dude. That might be pilot too, he be pilots. I said, whoa, that's dope. Charlie, my whole family, nobody ever traveled. I said, yeah, you right. He real excited. Frank is trying to get out of here. Yep, so we chopped it up. I left Frank's spot. And in about a week gone past, I see Frank and he's like, Charlie Papa Jerry. He be like, Monday, man, who move. She. He all happy. I'm happy for Frank. Frank is finally getting out of Ghana. We chop it up. Yeah. And that beautiful Monday did come. Frank's whole family dressed up like they was traveling to the UK with us Negro. We all over at the airport. Huge following. Everybody and their mama over there from Frank family because Frank is going to the UK. Exciting times. Well, we said goodbye and Frank left. Now what I'm about to tell you next will freak you the fuck out. I did not see Brother Frank for years after he left. The next time that I would see Frank is when I heard the whole story, and this is what I'm telling y'all right here, right now. Frank had one hell of a story to tell me. So in Frank's own words, they arrived, got off the plane, he got put into a car, Mr. Pilot and him drive miles from the airport. Beautiful, he said. Trees and greenery. Now, mind you, he don't know countryside from the city. He's never been to the UK. Get it? Mr. White Pilot Man, leave Frank in the house. He got everything. Food, television, everything is set up. Nice. Frank is not used to this. He come from a tin roof spot in the hood in Labadi. Shit. He said he was happy. Mr. Pilot leaves. Now this house, as Frank describes it, it's in the middle of nowhere, way out there from the airport. You know, he said it was a little cottage house, real cute, a lot of land behind it and in front, in the middle of nowhere. Yep, this is how Frank described the spot. And so the beat goes on. Mr. White Pilot Man would come by the house every time, sit with Frank, have conversations, laugh, watch TV, take him out shopping, took him to the city. Frank seen all the city lights, bought him a suit to go watch the opera. You know, Frank is living the life. So the beat goes on and on, all goody. Frank is having a ball. After a couple of weeks, though, Frank noticed something strange. Nobody ever comes by the house except Mr. White Pilot Man. What? He ain't got family, friends? It's a little odd. Frank in this house all the time by himself, and the only motherfucker to come by is Mr. White Pilot Man. Now here comes the drama. These are Frank's own words to me. Mr. White Pilot Man come by the house like he usually do. But this day, he's a little drunk. And they started kicking, conversation, just talking. Mr. White Pilot Man would make a move that would confuse Frank completely. Mr. White Pilot Man tried to kiss Frank on his mouth. Hold up. It ain't that kind of party. Frank is totally confused here. Frank thinks he's playing or fooling around. So, he pushed him off. Oh, shit. Mr. White Pilot Man ain't playing. He coming on strong now. He physically trying to get in there on Frank. Now, Frank is a Ghanaian African from the hood Labadi. He's not used to this shit, never seen this shit. He's like, what's wrong with you? White Pilot Man stopped, paused for the course, and he said to Frank, Frank, I love you, right? Frank is like, well, I love you too, but, like in a brotherly way. He said, nah, Frank, I really love you. Frank is totally confused, funked. Dead silence in this room, Frank told me. He said, Reggie, I don't know what the fuck to say to this man. I confuse self, Papa Jerry. How did me say they love me? This man want chew my mouth. White cracker is hot for Frank. Yep. So he say to Frank, Mr. Pilot Man looked Frank dead in the eye and said to Frank, I ain't bring you all the way from Africa to treat you all goody good here for nothing else except the fact that I want to get with you. I love you. Now, I understand if you ain't down with a plan, I could put you on a plane tomorrow, you go back to Africa. Frank stood there like, what? And so there they are, stood in the front room, looking at each other. Frank said, Papa Jerry, I confused how Shark said, I don't know what I will do. Mr. Pilot Man looked at Frank, he said, listen, if you ain't down with a plan, I can send you back to Africa on the next thing smoking. Don't worry about it. I'm going to leave you to think about it. Think it through. I'll be back tomorrow. Frank said he sat there shaking. Everybody Yankopon. What cry be this? Frank said he sat there thinking. My whole family. I'm the first to ever get on a plane to Abruzzi to try to make a better life for my family. Now what the fuck is this here? Frank said he started drinking. And so he drank and drank and drank all the booze that was up in the spot. Thinking, what the fuck I'm gonna do? I can't leave. Shit. I only been out here but a few weeks now. Shit. What I'ma do? Fell asleep, woke up, and the white pilot dude was stood over him. Frank said he nearly jumped out his skin. Mr. White Pilot Man must have come in the house because, he got the key and he was asleep. Stood over him looking at him. Real creepy shit. Frank said he got up and Cracker sat next to him. Tried to put his arm around Frank. Frank said he went cold and asked him, did you think about it? Mr. White Cracker Pilot Man sat next to Frank, want to know what the deal is going to be. whether he taking his ass back to Africa or he gonna let him get in between his booty. Yep, that's a tough one for Frank. Frank said he sat there and realized he didn't know nobody in this whole fucking place. Now, here's a fucked up situation. He is trapped. Mr. White Pilot Man got his passport, everything. He don't know nobody, ain't seen nobody. He in the middle of the fucking countryside, some damn place. With cracker pilot white man that's hot for his booty. Ain't that a bitch? Shit. Now Frank said to me, he said, Papa Jerry, then I did think say maybe I for kill this man. They're hiding body safe. But then he thought about it. That would be murder. Shit. I'm fucked. Literally. Frank said he told Mr. White Cracker Man to cool down. All of a sudden, Mr. Nice White Cracker Pilot Man ain't that nice no more. He started to raise his voice at Frank, talking about, if you ain't down, we can move right now. I got your passport, everything. You going back to Africa. Yep. Frank said, hold on. I gotta think about this a little bit more. He said, nope. White man said, nope. You gotta make up your mind and right now. This motherfucker is really hot for this dude. Frank said he sat there and he thought about it. And then he thought about turning up at the airport with nothing after a couple of weeks. Shit. Shame. Man, ain't this a bitch? I gotta go all the way back to Africa. I ain't even had shit to begin with. All my life, all I wanted to do was come out here and make a better life for me and my family. And here I is, sat here with this cracker trying to get in my ass. Shit, all that glitters ain't gold. Frank. My man Frank said he took another swig of that whiskey and looked the cracker in the face and said, with a deep breath, so who go fuck who? Now, when he told me this shit, I laughed. But Frank wasn't laughing. He had wet eyes telling me this shit. Mr. Pilot Cracker Freaky Creepy Man burst into a big grin and said to Frank, oh, don't worry about that. I'm the female, you the man. Frank said, in a strange way, he was relieved. And so the horrible story began. Yep, Frank made up his mind. He would stay in the UK and he would sacrifice body and soul. Shit. When Frank was telling me this, he was crying. He said, Frank, oh Frank. Frank had become an alcoholic. All Frank did was drink from morning till night. And he had to drink to go through everything. Yep, the act fucked him up. Now shit was about to get worse. You would think It could not get worse. It's about to be a horror flick. See, Mr. White Man, he wasn't done with Frank. Old Pilot Man started to bring other white folks to the house to be serviced by Frank. See, at this point, Frank said to me, he had just realized this was an organization. These white motherfuckers done this shit before. This was a whole plot. This is something that these crackers had been doing. He realized how fucked up he was. You see, Frank was the designated Negro. Frank was the exotic import. They had brought him all the way from Africa to come do this bullshit. And it's feeling like they professionals. It's a ring. They've been doing this shit. Frank just drank. Yep, praise Jah. On this one day, Frank said, Charlie, I just did look for the house inside. I did search around the house. Frank was looking around and realized they had like a little opening in the roof. What you call an attic? Yep. Frank said to me, Papa Jerry, I know Sabi waiting make I go inside that attic. He said he went up there and saw a whole bunch of stuff up there. He saw kid toys. He saw pictures, frame pictures. So he took one of them frame pictures and saw a family. Ooh, look at here. In this picture, it's a family. And Mr. Cracker Creepy Pilot Man is stood in this picture, smiling. 2 kids, a dog, and a woman. A family. Frank started thinking, this motherfucker's living a double life. He got a family. Oh, shit. What do we have here? This white motherfucker got me fucked up behind this shit. And he's over here living a double fucking life. Yes, he is a family man. This explains why nobody ever comes over to this damn house. Frank said he ain't know what to think. He started to think real fast. His heart was beating. See, the only folks that came by this house was them other white folks that came to get their asses rocked by Frank. Frank, at this point, is a zombie. This man got a family. This is his hideout. And I am a victim. So Frank would turn the frame picture around, and lo and behold, it was signed, the kids' names, the dog name, and the wife name, Suzanne. Yep, a whole straight white good family. Frank came back down from the attic, sat in the front room, scheming and plotting. I got this motherfucker now. But what I gotta do? How I'ma play this shit out? So Frank hid the frame picture under the chair and waited for old motherfucker Cracker Pilot Man to come by the house. And there he came. And yes, Mr. Creepy Cracker Pilot Man is back. It's a Saturday. It's when he usually come up there with his boys. Frank opened the door with his whiskey. Welcome the motherfucker in. Looked him in the eye and casually said, "Oh, Susan called." Yep, Cracker Pilot turned spook sheet white. Turned his head so fast could have snapped his neck. What did you say? Frank looked him straight and casually straight said to him, "Yes, Susan, your wife called, and I even spoke to your kids, and the dog is doing fine." He had mentioned the dog's name. White man froze. Frank said he walked straight to this man's face, stood right in front of him. He could smell and feel his breath, and said to him, "You want me to go call her? 'Cause I got her number." He started to make like he was going to the phone where Mr. White Pilot Man held his hand and said, "Stop. Frank, stop. Stop, stop," is what the white man said. He wasn't looking so tough right there. He had shrunk and become a straight pussy punk stood in that room. Frank looked at him dead in the eye, sat down and told him, "Give me all the money you got." And there they were, stood in that room, quiet. He said, "I told this motherfucking cracker I'd be a right man to kill you right now, but I'd go to jail and waste. I'm still alive," Frank said. "You give me all your money, and you get me out of here on the first thing smoking. I want to go to New York." He said he didn't even know why he said New York. Yep. And we are coming to the end of a horrible, horrible story. And this story was told to me by Frank in New York, because this is where I last met Frank again. I met Frank in the seediest part of New York, old school 42nd Street, before Giuliani had cleaned it up. Yep. Not all that glitters is gold. And there we were, me and Frank, old Frank. Frank had shrunk. The alcohol had definitely took a toll on his body. Looked like an old man. Frank was in the seediest part of New York where all the prostitutes be at. He had come to New York with a whole bunch of money and blown the money. See, Frank had lost his soul. Frank needed to tell himself again that he was not homosexual. So Frank came into New York with all that money he took from that evil cracker and blew it on booze, prostitutes. He was fucking everything out there just to rectify and say to himself that he's a man. And so the moral of the story is, people, all that glitters is not gold, and it's a cold, cold, evil world out there. Be careful now. What you wish for, you might just get. Frank, I ain't seen him since, but I pray for Frank. Amen. All right, so that's your Saturday fix-up story. I'm going to need y'all to subscribe, pass the word, because I'll be out here on Moji Stone YouTube, and I got tons of stories to share with you. Some funny, some sad, some real interesting shit, some scary. I've been on this planet for a minute. Moji Stone. I'll see you real soon. Peace.